Hello, and welcome to Slapstick's Big Night In. My name is Robin Ince. This is my bedroom that you can see behind me with all the chaos. The chaos is not set dressing. It is real. In fact, just before we started, just a moment ago, I found this. There we go. There's a dead wasp there. Just died, just gave up on the summer. And that's the kind of thing that happens when normally in the years that I've been performing, you have a period of time, you travel to the venue, you sit backstage, you prepare yourself, whereas I literally have just come upstairs, I'm in my bedroom. Welcome to the show. I have lots of detritus around me, which I may well show you any time that there is some kind of error that occurs, any kind of technical mistake. But the Slapstick Big Night In, we have an enormous number of things to share with you. Tonight, we have stuff from Joe Brown, we have stuff from Frankie Boyle, we have stuff from Jess Robinson, we have stuff from Harry Hill, we have some lovely archive stuff from the Slapstick Festival with Ken Dodd and the magnificent Neil Innes. We have Jack D, we have Richard Herring doing some ventriloquism, Lucy Porter. It's a real celebration of something that, if you don't know about it, is it's a wonderful festival that happens predominantly normally about the last weekend or so of January. And it celebrates both silent movies, very often placing the work of Charlie Chaplin or Buster Keaton or Harold Lloyd on the big screen with live musical accompaniment. And around that, lots of celebrations sometimes of not only the greats of silent comedy, but some of the forgottens of silent comedy, but also on top of that as well, celebrations of a lot of TV comedy. And I've did this year in January, had two delightful sessions, one with the great Timbret Taylor talking about Last the 1948 show, and then also with Graham and Bill as well talking about the goodies. And Steve Merchant and I sat and talked about Laurel and Hardy. We did a celebration also of PG Woodhouse and Jeeves and Wooster. There's so much going on, and it is a real celebration of beautiful and wonderful things in comedy. One of my favorite things to do was doing a celebration of Rick Mail, because of course Bristol, home to the Bristol Science, the Slapstick Festival, is where the young ones had their house. And so we had a great celebration of the work of Rick Mail, and we've also done celebrations of the slapstick work of Samuel Beckett as well. Still one of my favorite lines of all time. If you're going to have an opening line, take Samuel Beckett's opening line from a piece of monologue, birth was the death of him. But anyway, tonight we are going to be celebrating lots of people, and we also have, as I said, contributions from so many great comedians. We're trying to make money for basically the Slapstick Festival. Obviously, most of us have been struggling somewhat with the fact that we do live events. That's what we are. And the Slapstick Festival, of course, is a festival which is a live festival. There are normally throughout the years live events, all of which make the money to keep the festival going. It is one of the most important festivals in the world in terms of celebrating silent movies, slapstick, and indeed great comedy as a whole. So what we're trying to do tonight is make sure that the festival can keep going, even if for the time being it can't be a live event. There is hope that we will be back soon doing live events. I'm sure all of you are feeling like that, but it's a very, very important thing, and those who make the festival what they are, we want to make sure that they can continue to focus on that full time. So there's a crowdfunder link somewhere around your screen. And by the way, if you don't know, one of the weird things about doing this is I can see two versions of myself, one at the current time that I'm talking, and another with a kind of 2-second delay, because obviously being the Slapstick Festival, they're very scared that I might get in some way swearing, and also it's probably just technology as a whole. But let's start off tonight with a song. It's always good, this showbiz. Start with a song, end with a song, maybe. What we're going to start with tonight is from Tony Hawks, who has written so many wonderful, of course, his first huge hit was with Morris Minor and the Majors with the stutter rap, and he went off and he recorded a song with Norman Wisdom as well, I think from Moldova, as far as I remember, to try and get number one there. I can't remember if he did get number one. If you've read the book, you will know. But here is Tony Hawks with his Lockdown song.
Can't go out to the city, get one free trip to the store. I don't want your pity, but what am I living for? I'm in lockdown, and I'm beginning to find that in lockdown, life is a bind. I'm in lockdown, completely resigned to lockdown, and I'm slowly going out of my mind. Oh, I don't know what to do anymore. I mean, I must have pretty much done everything there is to do. Walked to the post office and back the other day, but that wasn't very exciting. Maybe I should do it in shorts. Yeah, that might liven it up a bit. I wanna break for cover, wanna set myself free.
I wanna get me out of here!
I wanna be with my lover, even if she doesn't wanna be with me. I'm in lockdown, and I'm beginning to find that in lockdown, life is a bind. I'm in lockdown, completely resigned to lockdown, and I'm slowly going out of my mind. Oh, I don't know, what am I gonna do with myself? I mean, Sainsbury's isn't very interesting, is it? Neither's Asda or Lidl. They're all slightly dull. No toilet paper anyway. It was the only bit I enjoyed. Staring off into the distance, getting to know the real me. Oh dear. Can't stand this new existence, 'cause I'm sick of my own company. I'm in lockdown, I'm beginning to find that in lockdown, life is a bind. I'm in lockdown, completely resigned to lockdown, and I'm slowly going out of my mind. Still, look on the bright side. Only another 6 months. That'll fly by. Maybe I was being a little too pessimistic. I mean, let's face it, be September before you know it.
There we are, and a few of those front rooms, offices and bedrooms you will see later on as well, amongst those Stephen Fry, Jack D, Joe Brand, etc. It's lovely to see that Richard Madeley. Many years ago, I worked on the Rich and Judy show, and it really got me, I suppose, au fait with that wonderful thing, which is the daytime segue. I had a little job. Sometimes Michael McIntyre did it, sometimes I did it. Our careers have gone off in a very different trajectory since then, but there was showing funny things off the internet. This was many years ago, and I remember showing Rich and Judy a particularly amusing segment where a man was holding a puppy, and then the puppy started to urinate, and the urine all went directly into his face. And just seeing Richard go, oh, yeah, that's great, definitely man holding puppy, urinating his face, that's going to go through to next week. Wonderful. Now, 12 people have died from knife crime already this year, and it was just like the speed from puppy urination to knife crime was just one of those wonders of daytime. Now, someone else who has done similar jobs to that as me, and someone who is a tremendous supporter of the Slapstick Festival, is Lucy Porter, and she's done so many great events, and many of them also heralding sometimes some of the forgotten women of silent comedy. And go onto the website, you'll find out some of those events as well. Find out more about the Slapstick Festival. But here is a little bit of Lucy Porter. Lucy Porter has a special piece she recorded for us, and also a little bit of her talking about the Slapstick Festival on local news. I'm not sure. I think it was about 3 years ago, as far as I remember. Here's Lucy Porter.
Comedian Lucy Porter is a member of the festival's board, and I'm delighted to say that she joins us from the Watershed. So, Lucy, what makes this event in particular so special, do you think?
I mean, it's just been getting bigger and better for the years that I've been coming here. I've been involved for about 5 years, and it's a delight. People come together to celebrate physical knockabout comedy, and there's such a range of stuff on offer. So there's kind of the classics like your Laurel and Hardy and your Charlie Chaplin, but then there's also interesting things, more modern things. There's a tribute to Rick Mayall. I'm just about to go in and do a tribute to the late great Victoria Wood.
Hello. Gosh, it's been a crazy year, hasn't it? I hope you're all doing okay. I hope you're bearing up. I was thinking it's been strange enough living through this year, but how much stranger is it going to be when we have to explain it in the future? Like, I was thinking, if I have grandchildren, what am I going to say to them about going through coronavirus? And I've cast my mind into the future, and I think I might say something like this to my grandchildren. What's that, little one? You want to know what it was like in 2020? Well, basically, at first we all thought we'd be fine if we carried a hanky and sang happy birthday while we washed our hands. But that turned out not to be enough, and we didn't know what else to do, so we all bought toilet paper until it ran out. And then we stayed at home and did quizzes on Zoom, except nobody asked the one question they really wanted to ask, which was, can I borrow some toilet paper? And then the paper shortage got even worse because we all started putting pictures of rainbows in our windows in case any passing doctors and nurses wanted to see a picture of a rainbow. And then on Thursday nights we started clapping out of our windows for the doctors and nurses who couldn't hear us because they were saving lives at hospitals or at home trying to get some sleep. After that we tried banging pans, setting off fireworks and making a nice old man walk round and round his garden until we all cried. And we thought we'd all be stuck inside forever, but then the government's chief advisor did a road trip with his symptomatic wife and child in the car. But that was fine because he was actually just a better parent than the rest of us, and also he couldn't see properly, which actually made it doubly fine. And then, after telling us to stay at home for months, the government told us that we were all lazy bones for working from home and to get back on the train to the office because Pret-a-Manger was in trouble. And while it was very important to keep Pret in business, it was less important to stop the entire arts sector going bust, even though everyone had spent the whole of lockdown staying sane by reading and watching stuff made by people in the arts sector. Instead, the government made extra sure to protect proper leisure industries like horse racing and grouse hunting. And then they said it was our patriotic duty to go to the pub and gave us Eat Out to Help Out, which was a name we all found really funny for reasons you'll find out when you're older. And then they decided to give the contract for testing us for the virus to a company that mostly does bin collections and a woman who'd failed to run a mobile phone company. And all the people who said it would lead to a second wave were told to stop being such scaredy cats. And then there was a second wave, which was apparently a massive surprise, so we weren't prepared for it. And it was all our fault anyway for going to the office and having half-price dinners and seeing our friends without even having the decency to shoot them. And for using up too many tests by selfishly getting sick. And so the government had enough of us carping on about it, so they decided to make us forget all about our silly little virus problem by bringing back Brexit and doing some crimes. And that, children, is why we live in a bin. A little glimpse of the future there for you. Hope that wasn't too depressing. Lots of love. Mwah.
Wonderful. It's lovely there to have something ending with living in a bin. All you Samuel Beckett fans, of course, know that Endgame has a wonderful moment of two people who live in a bin. And one of the greatest pieces about a joke ever, which ends with the punchline, but look at the world and look at these trousers. You will have to find out the previous joke, but there we go. That's the punchline. Now we're going to find out a little bit of the context of Slapstick and a little bit about what it does from a few of those people who have regularly been down at the festival. And also we have a message from the Mayor of Bristol. So here are a few of the well-known Slapstick supporters and the Mayor.
Slapstick's this incredible festival that takes place every year in Bristol, and it's a unique place for people to come and celebrate everything that is visual and silent comedy. It's the only one of its kind in the world, and it's growing and growing, but we do need your help.
If you witness the Bristol Comedy Festival, it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and you'll say, never again. Thank you to Tim Vine for that line, but it is, within its world, perfect.
I tell you, I've been going about 4 or 5 years, and it's got better and better and better, and this year's is going to be even better. So don't miss it.
Come and join us.
Welcome people on the stage.
I was quite pleased with it.
So I've been asked to say a few words to support Slapstick's Big Night In as they look to raise money. So what do I get in my inbox? I get a note asking me to support the campaign. Then I look through the list. Tony Hawk's is going to do an introduction and then his song, Lockdown. Stephen Fry is telling a story and a joke before making an appeal. Matt Lucas is doing a slapstick moment, and then Stephen Marchant is doing a bit of stand-up comedy, and then you come to me as the Mayor of Bristol and expect me to fit in that company. So the pressure's on. I got nothing to offer that would meet those standards. So let me just keep it straight. Lots of financial pressure this year. There's been no public events. Normally, the Slapstick Festival gets about 80% of its revenue through events and ticket sales. We need to give them some money. So, let's get involved. Let's participate in the Slapstick big comedy night in and support them. And good luck to Stephen. Good luck to Stephen. Good luck to Matt, and good luck to Tony. I'm Marvin.
Thank you very much to Marvin. That was lovely seeing. I did an event with Bill earlier this year of just showing some of his favourite cartoons, which was an absolute joy. And I had it's always really wonderful to sit and have lunch with some of those people, like Barry. As Barry cried, just as anyone knows, just the number of stories where go on, yawn with your mouth closed. I've got another story about Ken. Tell you these wonderful stories about Kenny Everett. And we were at a restaurant, and just as I was leaving, the waiter came up to me. I said, "I'm really sorry for stopping you, but I'm a big fan, and I wonder if I could just get a picture with you." And I'm very niche. I honestly, but every now and again there are some people who are big fans of the show that I do with, Brian Cox, Infinite Monkey Cage, or something like that. So every now and again, it doesn't happen very often, but it's quite a niche thing. So I just said, yeah, of course you can get a photo. And then just as he was putting his arm around me to get the selfie, he went, "Oh, you know what? I mean, it's like when I was a kid, when I was growing up, Kevin and Perry was just my favourite thing. So thank you so much." And so he thought I was Harry Enfield. And then there's that question of, do you say, what's more embarrassing? Is it going to be more embarrassing that in about a day's time, so people are going to say, "What are you talking about? Right, that's not Harry Enfield. I don't know who that bloke is, but it's not Harry Enfield." Or is it best just to walk away? To be honest, the Harry Enfield lookalike work hasn't got me as much money as I might have hoped during lockdown. But let's now meet some other people who are keen supporters. And we start off. We're going to go to Australia, where we see someone who did the live comedy event last year. Brilliant Welsh comic Lloyd Langford. Then we have Joe Brand, and then we have a premiere. I think it's a premiere of Richard Herring as a ventriloquist. Please roll the film.
Hello everyone, it is Lloyd Langford here, coming to you from Melbourne, Australia, where, as you can see, it is illegal to get a haircut or indeed an eyebrow trim. Everything is okay here. I'm currently subject to a curfew. Not just me, like everybody. It's illegal to leave the house after 8 p.m. So if I put the bins out after dark, I feel like Steve McQueen in The Great Escape. I just wanted to say I think we should all support the Bristol Slapstick Comedy Festival, because people falling over will never not be funny. Keep supporting the festival, and I'll keep this brief because I'm sure there are videos of people who are famous that you want to watch. Take care. Bye-bye.
Hello everyone, I'm Jo Brand, international supermodel, and you are watching some big slapstick comedy festival online, aren't you? And I'm supposed to be appealing to you as appealingly as possible to donate a bit of money, because they haven't got any at all really, because they get 80% of their dosh from live shows and they can't do them. So there you are. Will you please donate some money? That'd be lovely. My favourite slapstick is real life slapstick. Many years ago, a group of us wanted to be posh, so we went punting in Oxford. I think it was myself, Mark Lamar, Bill Bailey, and various other comedians you might not have heard of, because no one did. But they are all very funny and they're all still around. Anyway, yes, we went punting, and Mark Lamar got quite cross, and whilst he was getting cross, he made the boat wobble and fell out into the river, which was only about 3 foot deep, but he did have a white suit on, and he stood there in the water shouting at us all in a very cross way, and it was extremely entertaining.
Hello, Richard Herring here, and I'm a big fan of Bristol Slapsticks Festival and want to ask you to please support, and if you can donate, to Slapstick's Big Comedy Night In, coming very soon. There's a lot of old performers who've come to the Bristol Slapstick Festival over the years, and a lot of old performances we've seen, but nothing as old as this guy. This is Ali, a ventriloquist dummy made by my great-granddad. Yes, I am. Hello there. Lovely to see you everyone at the Slapstick Festival. He can talk, apparently. Oh, I'm cheeky. He can talk without moving his mouth. Look, there's a 128-year-old joke there. Beat that, Bristol Slapstick Festival. You cannot, because I am best than you. So it's a fantastic festival, and we have to try and keep it going to help the old performers like this guy. Yeah, and the young ones, Richard. Well, I'm not so young anymore. You hearken there to most of the old cronies here on this thing. All right, there's no need to be rude. Thank you very much, and I hope you will enjoy the brilliant Slapstick's Big Comedy Big Night In. I've added an extra big because it's so big. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
There we are, Richard Herring explaining one of the reasons that many of us love the Slapstick Comedy Festival is because 50-something comedians end up feeling sometimes quite young in that scenario. It's lovely. Also, Jo Brand, who's one of the loveliest people I think in the world, and the one and only time I was on Mock the Week, I was sat next to Jo Brand, and it was such a joy to me because we basically had non-speaking parts. Frankie Boyle, who's coming up in a moment, was in tremendous form, and basically what happened with the world's worst step was we just did step aerobics. We stepped down, someone else got to the mic, we stepped back up again. It was a lot of fun. Here is now a message from one of the major parts of the Slapstick Festival, and something, one of the many wonderful things that comes from contemporary Bristol is, of course, Aardman. And here is a message from Peter Lord, and also a little clip from Aardman Productions as well.
Hello. I'm Peter Lord, and I am co-founder of Aardman Animations here in Bristol. And at Aardman, we have been fans and supporters and backers and patrons of the wonderful Slapstick Festival since the very early years. Slapstick is a fantastic thing. It's a jewel in Bristol's crown, I do think. And, of course, like so many other great institutions, they're struggling with the effects of the blasted COVID, and to help things along, to raise some much needed finance, once again we have Slapstick's Big Comedy Night In, which is a treat. It shows how many other people care about slapstick too, regard it as an important thing for Bristol and for the whole country. It's a great festival. So I just encourage you, really, if you're fans too, please do contribute to the fundraising to help Slapstick survive for many more years to come.
There, one of the utter joys of being involved with the Slapstick Festival is that normally once a year you get to go to Ardman as well and meet not just one morph but many morphs, all of these different morphs. I think when I was last there, probably back in February, they were filming a new series of Morph, and it's a really beautiful thing. There is something about, like watching the work of Ray Harryhausen as well, that sense of the humanity and the creation of something as wonderful as that. Now, the next thing that we have coming up is a premiere of a book that hasn't been released as yet. It's by Frankie Boyle, and Frankie Boyle was one of his books actually that I read. I can't remember what it was. It was a normal kind of very bleak existential anxiety filled title, and there was a little piece that he wrote about the idea of the worst panel show ever, and I turned over a page and there was a little caricature of the worst panel show with all the worst people on there, and in that caricature was a caricature of me. So obviously I made a big impression with that one silent appearance on Mock the Week. Anyway, here's Frankie Boyle with, and this is great as well because it gives me just enough time to actually eat my tea, which I haven't had a chance to do yet. So here's Frankie Boyle with a reading from his new, so far unavailable book.
Watcher, I'm Frankie Boyle. This is for the Bristol Slapstick Festival. They are struggling to do live events at the minute, so if you can help them in any way, that'd be great. I'm going to read out a wee bit of a new book I've written. I wrote a short book about the future of British politics, which I actually handed in just before COVID hit. So it now nails the zeitgeist about as much as fucking Beowulf. But I'm going to read out a wee section on climate change, which isn't going away anytime soon. I hope you enjoy it. I find that the climate crisis is the hardest subject for live comedy, perhaps because people are just trying to shut it out. Sometimes we simply deny the truth because it's easier not to think about it, like with Britain's role in Yemen, where we're involved in a proxy war that we don't see ourselves as being involved in much the same way that Peter Sutcliffe may have just seen himself as a hammer tester. This year, scientists reported a record 18 degrees in the Arctic, which is particularly shocking to people from Glasgow because we've sunbathed in colder temperatures than that. I think it's good that we call young people now Generation Z, as if admitting that it's pretty much all over. I'm not a total pessimist. I think that even after a nuclear war, human civilization will probably live on, in the stories of super advanced cockroaches trying to work out where they got cancer from. Treating the planet like a front garden on the way home from the chippy means that before long, a continuous floating mat of plastic will even rob us of the simple final pleasure of being able to walk into the sea. We can expect hotter summers and wetter winters. The great thing about roasting hot summers is that Britain will be sexually transmitted disease-free, as the population will effectively be pasteurised. When Australia burned, the world cared because of the beautiful landscapes and animals that were so badly affected. Britain is not going to be in the same position. No one's going to give a shit when our news broadcasts a melting bus stop and a pigeon coughing. The overwhelming reaction from the rest of the planet will be subdued amusement. In fact, there will be people actively encouraging fires, if only to clear out Essex and turn it into the kangaroo sanctuary that the world so badly needs. Even though the climate crisis will disproportionately affect the developing world, British climate protests often carelessly erase the struggles of activists in other countries who are on the front line of the looming catastrophe. While they are well-intentioned, there is something alienating about the predominantly white and middle-class British climate movement, and something in the way they imagine polite protest will achieve something that denies all we know of the British state. It's dispiriting to see people who believe anything can be achieved by being polite to the police, and the general air of, I dare say the PLO would have got a bit further if only they'd shown some manners. Despite this, I actually think Prince Charles is well suited to be a leading environmentalist, partly because he spent his career being routinely ignored, and also because the royals have done their bit to shorten car journeys, one in particular springing to mind. I predict that, primed by decades of misinformation, the British will react badly to any major action demanded to decarbonise the economy. Which is sad, because action on climate could actually be good for the national mood. Any restrictions on flights will mean it's back to the glory days of holidays here in the UK, a week or two of picking sand out of candy floss before squeezing into a hotel lift with a screeching hen party pressing the buttons with an oversized dildo, or walking into a pub, hearing everyone start talking Welsh and thinking, these people must really hate me. This is Stratford. Still, I've done my bit to reduce emissions. one short evening class in ventriloquism, and I can stop pretty much any cremation. I won't be cremated myself. I plan to have my body frozen in liquid nitrogen, then placed on a plinth, so it can be shattered like a windscreen with a high C delivered by an opera singer, largely because I've always wanted to leave this world to the sound of someone screaming, "Quick, cover the vol-au-vents!" Mark Fisher, the cultural theorist, whose 2017 suicide seems increasingly prescient, coined the term capitalist realism to describe the way that we could imagine the end of the world more easily than we could imagine the end of capitalism. I think that is gone now, and that people can increasingly imagine a future shaped by something other than capitalism. Perhaps the system itself is even admitting its decrepitude metaphorically by delivering a US presidential race between two candidates apparently suffering from dementia. I think of what we inhabit now as more of a consumer realism. We believe that we can refine or replace capitalism with something that still delivers all the stuff. And so there are people who passionately engage with the climate crisis, but still take flights. I suppose our hopes for the survival of the Earth seem to rest, as much as anything, on our ability to imagine a different way of living. Take care, everybody. Enjoy the show.
There we are, a wonderful upbeat moment, pre-watershed moment there from Frankie Boyle from his new book. So many different things going on in there, and there's a beautiful thing to connect Beowulf to that level of swearing as well. Mark Fisher as well, as he mentioned there, a quite brilliant cultural critic, and I would highly recommend you look into his work. The weird and the eerie is one of those things. Now that obviously we've had Frankie Boyle reminding us of exactly where the apocalypse may or may not go, of course it should really be time for a song. Coming up very soon we have Michael Palin, Jack D, Abby Clark and Stephen Fry. Now the next person I'm going to introduce was very good recently in an episode of Endeavour, playing someone who runs a railway station, and we're a little bit uncertain whether they might be the murderer. I'm not going to say whether he is or he isn't, because when that pops up on ITV3, I'll have given it away. But wonderful actor who also did a brilliant children's entertainment character called Jeremy Lyon a while ago. Here is Justin Edwards.
Hello, I'm going to sing you a love song. I mean, all songs ultimately are about love, with the possible exception of Pinball Wizard. But this song is about love won and love lost in a library. Any librarians at home, make some noise. Actually don't, that's sort of, no, just keep it, here we go. One wet Wednesday afternoon, I saw my lending library lovely. Raven-haired, she stamped my Raymond Chandler, and my heart dissolved. So I stayed till closing time. I reckon that to make her mine, I'd have to woo her bookishly. I Danielle steeled my resolve. Oh, library lady, would you care to join me for a cup of T.S. Eliot, or perhaps a glass of Barbara Pimm's and lemonade? Harper Lee, she gazed at me, then locked the door. I took her Wilkie Collins in my hand, and we began to promenade. This was certainly a Mills and Boone. Had I been too Thomas Foolhardy, but she shared my feelings. I was pretty damn Bernard Shaw, so I told her how I felt. She dimmed the lights, I dropped my Orwells. She grasped me by the dictionary, we fell J.K. Rowling to the floor. But the library hall is no place to seduce, it's too Jane ostentatious. 'Twould be Rudyard Kipling there, we might get seen Tom Clancy that. So we crept into the reference section out of view, and there I lay down with my library lady on the coconut mat. Oh, she said, this itchy floor is bound to give me a thesaurus. I built a bed of Mary Wesley's upon which we could uncoil, with a photocopier light on, for a pillow Michael Crichton. Tenderly she placed her hands upon my Conan Doyle. She was Oscar Wilde in bed, like a leaping salmon Rushdie headlong into passion. Personally, I was a bit too Jonathan Swift. I could have done with a hardback edition, rather than my floppy old paperback Grisham, but I gave her the full Bronte, and she didn't seem too miffed. But our affair, it never lasted, something went Kingsley amiss. She found another lover with a larger print than mine. I was Graham Greene with envy, I was Somerset Maudlin. I felt empty, but my Philip Roth soon passed. One day I'll cease this futile crying. Now I stand here feeling sorry, grasping my Daphne du Maurier, a dewy decimal teardrop on my cheek once more. and occasionally I reminisce, and an Evelyn Waugh escapes my lips, remembering my Dickens on the lending library floor.
And from somebody who can't spell IQ to QI. Thank you for supporting Slapstick. It's true to say that the health crisis has hit us all hard, right in the livelihoods. I myself am an after-dinner speaker, and also a motivational speaker. I motivate people to leave the room when I'm speaking. So I've turned my hand to writing. I'm actually writing a book about spiritualism at the moment. I just need to find myself a decent ghostwriter. Perhaps I should ask Katie Price.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Deborah Stevenson and Justin Edwards. Thank you very much, everyone who's watching and everyone who's contributed. This has been running for the last week, but in the last hour, it's gone up a great deal. And the last I looked, we were at £9,600. And that's fantastic. As I said, it's a big festival. There's a lot of costs. There are a lot of volunteers who work for it as well. And pretty much all of the people who host things and all of us who do that, you know, that's not the cost. That's all just done voluntarily, but to make sure that it's as spectacular as it is every year, like putting on Harold Lloyd movies and Laurel and Hardy films in Bristol Cathedral with live accompaniment, all of those things are, as Chris mentioned in that recording about the show, these things don't normally happen. There's very few places where you get the chance to see great silent movies in that kind of situation, and also to see some of those people as well from the greats of TV, film and radio comedy as well. Now the next person, I said a great of TV, film, comedy. This person is one of the greats, one of the, I would say, probably most loved comedians that we have ever had, and he's going to read some poetry. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to his front room, or his side room, or it might be his conservatory, I haven't seen as yet, Michael Palin.
Hello, well, I'm really pleased to be here on Slapstick's big comedy night in, because the Bristol Slapstick Festival is something worth supporting. It's a complete delight. A lot of people work very hard on it, and this has been a difficult year. Anyway, a few little humorous poems. It's dark times these, and dark times require dark poetry. And who better than Harry Graham, who was around in the 20s and loved dark humour. Here's a few examples. First one's called Indifference. When Grandmama fell off the boat and couldn't swim and wouldn't float, Matilda just stood by and smiled. I almost could have slapped the child. Patience, this is called. When skiing in the Engadine, my hat blew off down a ravine. My son, who went to fetch it back, slipped through an icy glacier's crack and then got permanently stuck. It really was infernal luck. My hat was practically new. I love my little Henry too, and I might have to wait for years till either of them reappears. And lastly, cheer up those of you who take baths rather than showers, this is one called The Bath. Broad is the gate and wide the path that leads man to his daily bath. But ere you spend the shining hour with plunge and spray, with sluice and shower, with all that teaches you to dread the bath as little as your bed, remember wheresoe'er you be to shut the door and turn the key. I had a friend no more, who failed to bolt his bathroom door. A maiden aunt of his one day walked in as half submerged he lay. She did not notice nephew John and turned the boiling water on. He had no time nor even scope to camouflage himself with soap, but gave a yell and flung aside the sponge 'neath which he sought to hide. It fell to earth I know not where. He beat his breast in his despair, and then like Venus from the foam sprang into view and made for home. His aunt fell fainting to the ground. Alas, they never brought her round. She died intestate in her prime, the victim of another's crime. And John can never quite forget how by a breach of etiquette he lost at one fell swoop or plunge his aunt, his honour and his sponge.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful to see Michael Palin there. I'm tremendously envious of his shelves. I will give you should give you some idea of why I am envious of his shelves. Now we're going to go straight on with another couple of messages from Mark Cosgrove, and first of all from Bristol's Festival of Ideas, Andrew Kelly.
I'm Andrew Kelly from Bristol Festival of Ideas and Bristol Cultural Development Partnership. We're big fans of Slapstick in Bristol. We've partnered with Slapstick right from the start, and we've enjoyed all the films that Slapstick has put on, the many films which take place each year, which attract thousands of people. Please do support Slapstick, support the comedy fundraiser, and let's get Slapstick back in Bristol for next January. After all, Bristol without Slapstick is like a custard pie without the cream. Let's support Slapstick.
My name's Mark Cosgrove. I'm a cinema curator at Watershed in Bristol. About 15 years ago, I was accosted in Harbourside by a young Chris Daniels who said to me, "Mark, you don't really screen many silent films at Watershed, do you?" I said, "You're absolutely right, Chris, and we really need to do something about it." So that was the start of what became Slapstick and what became Slapstick Festival, which has evolved into being one of the cultural highlights of Bristol and brings together some phenomenal talent to the city, and who are all coming together for the big comedy night in to support the Slapstick Festival. The festival requires funding, of course, and it raises the money through live gigs, and of course the live gigs are not possible at the moment. But all the comedy stars have got together to do a virtual fundraiser, and there will be lots of laughs, I am absolutely sure. So please do support Slapstick's big comedy night in.
Thank you very much to Andrew and Mark. That was lovely. I like the picture just behind Mark there, and I also like someone who can't be bothered to take their Christmas lights down and just keeps them hung over the pictures for the whole of the rest of the year. Now we're going to see someone that we just saw briefly before, being Sandy Toksvig, who is Deborah Stevenson, and also someone who was I first worked with her in Bristol. She is a quite brilliant comedian and one of the best compares working as well, Sally Ann Hayward, and also someone else who I would talked to not that long ago, a brilliant stand-up, and someone who did tremendously well in Britain's Got Talent as well, Lost Voice guy. So those are the next three people we're going to see, and here they are.
Hi there, my name's Sally Ann Hayward. Honoured to be here in my living room. Over lockdown, I really got to know my 3-year-old neighbour. We'd sit in the back garden, we'd chat for hours, she'd be on the wall, we'd talk about life, the world. Trouble is, always my cigarettes. One day she was calling my name at 7 o'clock in the morning. Sweet really, isn't it? I said to her, "What are you, my ex?" Don't talk to me about my ex. One of the reasons me and the last one split up was because he accused me of being selfish. I think that's what he said. I wasn't really listening. I have a nice boyfriend now, but during the proper lockdown, we isolated separately because we don't live together. But that wasn't such a bad thing because he's a snorer. Oh, that's annoying. I told my mum. My mum said one of the best things I've ever heard about relationships. I said to my mum, "I can't stand it. He snores all the time. I can't bear it. It's so annoying." My mum went, "Oh, won't be long before just his breathing annoys you." But he gets that sleep apnea, you know? Yeah, so I live in hope. I had a mammogram recently. I didn't know what that was. I thought my mum was going to sing me happy birthday. Talking of birthdays, I had a birthday in lockdown. I'm sure many of you did. That was pretty rubbish, wasn't it? Not like my birthday last year. My boyfriend bought me a spa day. Yeah, jet wash. Had a lovely internal valet. One year, I had a smear test. Yeah, the receptionist said to me, "Date of birth." I told her. She went, "That's today." And I went, "Yeah, I thought I'd treat myself." "Well, your mates are always working, aren't they?" Sod it. Get the admin done. When I got there, I had a male nurse, and he said to me, "Do you want to pay a little bit more and go private?" And I thought, well, it's my birthday. Treat myself. So I said, "Yeah." And he drew the curtain. While he was for want of a better expression, up there. I chose that moment. I said, it's my birthday today. And he said, feels like mine as well. The parks closed for a while, didn't they? And then when they opened, no, they didn't close. They didn't close the parks necessarily, but we weren't supposed to go. And then, but they kept the toilets closed, didn't they? Which is okay for the men, but for the women, it's quite difficult, isn't it? So what I did, one step ahead, got myself a she-wee. If you don't know what that one of those is, it's a little funnel that women can attach there so we can wee standing up. It's like having a willy. When mine arrived in the post, my first thought was, I wish I'd got a bigger one. But it's amazing. I encourage you to get one. It's a real insight into what it's like being a bloke. I got a pay rise as well. It's terrible, isn't it, that women are still paid less than men for doing the same job? Isn't it awful? And women's days start earlier, don't they? Yeah. You've got to factor in all that extra time for parking. I'd love to talk about feminism more, but I'm worried I'm just a bit too pretty. I did actually think about getting another job because, well, this all went, everything, all performers went, and I thought, oh, what can I do? And I thought about admin and clerical, but to be honest, I don't really understand the modern office because, well, without Tipex, what do you sniff to get through the afternoon? Thank you for listening to me, you've been lovely. Cheers. Yeah, doing a lot of this in lockdown as well. Still carried that little trend on. Drinking at home is, well, it has its own problems, doesn't it, really? But the thing is, you don't really know how much you've drunk, do you? Until you get up and realise that you've finished the bucket. Cheers! I have to say, just to finish, one of the symptoms of coronavirus is reduced lung capacity. So if you haven't laughed, it's kind of good, really, because in this instance, laughter is actually the worst medicine. Cheers!
Well, I'm sorry if you feel that we're not supporting the performing arts or performing artists, but actually we are doing everything we possibly can, and I'm allocating 300,974,033 pounds in relief. So I'm sorry if you feel that way.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. If you are wondering how I got disabled, it's because I didn't forward that chain email to 10 of my closest friends when I was younger. Let me tell you, you get asked some really strange questions when you are disabled, though. One of the questions I get asked most often is, what is it like living with cerebral palsy? To be honest, it's a right pain in the arse. When people find out more about my disability, they start to tell me how sorry they are. Everyone is so sorry all the time. Sorry to hear I can't talk. Sorry about my walk. Sorry I will never make it onto Strictly Come Dancing. But I say, screw them. Don't feel sorry for me. I've already told you that I'm a complete bastard. I'm the sort of guy who presses every button in the lift when I'm getting out of it. I'm the kind of guy who makes people move out of the disabled space on the train, even when the whole carriage is empty. I'm that person who gets up to do karaoke and then pretends the microphone is broken when no sound comes out of my mouth. Another question that I get asked quite often is, have I ever tried to talk just to see what would happen? As if I had just been lazy all of my life and therefore just couldn't be bothered to talk. Like I was only putting it on to take advantage and jump the queues at Disney World. But, in case you are wondering, no, I haven't tried to talk before. Mainly because I know nothing would happen. I'm not going to suddenly open my mouth and hear Brian Blessed's voice booming out. Besides, I've built a career out of not being able to speak now. I don't think I should be encouraging my voice to magically reappear too much. The found voice guy just doesn't have the same ring to it. Ladies and gentlemen, I have been Lost Voice Guy. If you find my voice, please contact me as soon as possible on my social media. I hope you have had fun laughing at a disabled man. Enjoy the rest of your night. Goodbye.
Wonderful. He's so great. If you ever get the chance to go to, well, hopefully we'll all get the chance to go and see things live again. Lost Voice Guys, absolutely. I love that T-shirt. I'm only in it for the parking as well. That's great. And even though he mentioned, well, Brian Blessed is one of my favourite things. I actually talked about Brian Blessed. We did a benefit at it's now Bristol Beacon, isn't it? What was the Colston Hall a few years ago for Slapstick Festival, and I received a particularly acerbic review from Bristol Live, who very kindly decided to give a acerbic review to a benefit when for doing too many Brian Blessed impersonations. But to hell with you, Bristol Live, you bloody bastards! Anyway, so the next thing that I am going to show you, this is again someone who a great comedian and an actor and a writer as well, who has been tremendously supportive to the Slapstick Festival, and I know that when he received the request to could he say something about Slapstick Festival, he was so eager to say something, and he has sent us a very, very beautiful message. So, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jack D.
Oh no, what's this? From Chris Daniels, not him again. Read Slapstick's Big Comedy Night In. Hi Jack, I hope you are well. I wondered if there would be any chance of getting you to film a message in support of Slapstick. Oh fuck. It's called Slapstick's Big Comedy Night In, blah 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 blah, and will be hosted by Robin Ince. Christ, why is it always him? Why can't I host it and Robin Ince send in a poxy half-assed video? No doubt he'll do it really well and get all the credit, with everyone saying, oh, thank you, Robin, you're so great and funny, Robin. Shame Jack D couldn't be bothered to do anything. Feature a series of messages, jokes, stories, songs and appeals from friends of Slapstick, which of course, Jack, we count you very much as being. Content is up to you. Tony Hawk's is doing a brilliant song. Is he? I think we'll be the judge of that. Stephen Fry tells a story and a joke and then makes an appeal. Obviously that'll be brilliant, so no pressure. And Matt Lucas does a slapstick moment for us. Well, that'll top everyone, won't it? Bloody show-off. But you could simply say why you think we're worth saving and ask them to donate if they can. With best wishes, Chris. Oh, bollocks. I suppose I'll have to send something in. I don't want people to think I don't care.
Right. Oh, okay. That's not what I thought it was going to be. So now let's go straight on with one of my well, it is actually my favourite TV panel show. It's absolutely brilliant. It's Would I Lie to You? And it's if you're going to start off watching any episode, start off one where Bob Mortimer is a guest, because the lies and the truth in his stories are absolutely remarkable and delightful. So they also did a benefit a while ago. I think it was in Reading, as far as I remember, for Slapstick Festival. But here, Lee Mack and also David and Rob from Would I Lie to You?
What about that? Laurel and Hardy. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been a wonderful audience. Time is against us. We haven't even got time for a custard pie in the face. So don't do it! We've run out of time, Barry. Sorry, we've got to. Let's just. This was 250 quid, sunshine. Before we don't you dare. Before we go, I'd just like to thank Barry Cry, who's got lost, unfortunately, in the building, and he's. Go on there, but watch the nose. That is frozen, and that's a big nose.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want it flattened.
Are you ready?
Softly now. That'll do. And that's your fault! Barry Cryer, ladies and gentlemen! Hello, Lee Mack here, and Hugh Dennis.
A metre away.
A metre
Over
away.
a metre away. 2 metres
On
away.
set of Not Going Out, and we want to say that we hope you can support the Slapstick Festival, which is
important.
Very important.
It's really important.
You like a bit of slapstick, don't you, Hugh?
I love a bit
Go
of
on,
slapstick.
do something now. Look at that. No safety cushion. Just went straight over. I've done the Slapstick Comedy Festival. I did an evening of Laurel and Hardy, and I absolutely loved it. And it's, all joking apart, it's in dire trouble and desperately needs some help. So please donate with this particular line that I couldn't remember that Hugh's now going to say.
Please donate.
That was it, wasn't it? It was
It's the big Slapstick Comedy Night In.
Yes.
You've got to remember that.
Robin Ince is hosting.
Oh, Robin Ince is hosting.
Robin Ince is hosting. Too many.
Please donate.
Yes, donate. And after Robin's expenses, which will be maximum 95%, the rest will go to the fund. I'm joking, it's all going, so please donate. You'll be donating, won't you?
I will be donating.
Not just our time, we're actually giving hard cash. Do you need us back on set?
Yes, please.
She needs us back on
gotta
set,
go.
and she's in charge. Bye.
Hello everyone, I'm David Mitchell and I was instructed to do this video in landscape format, and it may surprise you to learn that I actually am, because I'm currently standing on a wall and my body is parallel to the ground. Yes, I thought that as this is for the Slapstick Festival, it would be a perfect opportunity to show off some of my underrated physical skills as a performer. And I'm very good at standing on a wall, almost too good, you might say, as I can even make my hair look normal. No longer obeys gravity normally. Same with this glass of water. So in a sense it's comedically useless. It just looks like I'm standing on the ground, but no one else can do it, and thought I'd show it off here. Anyway, I hope you're all enjoying the Slapstick Big Comedy Night In. Give generously to the Slapstick Festival. Let it never be said that people will fall over and others will not laugh.
Hello, I'm Rob Brydon. Canal holidays have never been more popular. Here in the south of France, for example, British holidaymakers come in their thousands every year to enjoy the peace and tranquility of the French canal system, like this one, the Canal du Midi. Interestingly, oh shit, no, this is the wrong, this is the slapstick. Oh God, I can't be asked to do it again, sorry.
And now there was a great lesson there as well in the first clip of Lee Mack, which is you discover what happens. Two things, which is one, do not try and move away from the custard pie. That will create a greater amount of detritus. And two, custard pies can have a great effect also on the lapel mic. You might have noticed in the second half of that clip. We now have found what was originally meant to be played, the official Jack D message for Slapstick. Here it is.
Hello. Yes, it's me, Jack D. You know, when they asked me would I like to get involved in Slapstick's Comedy Night In, I immediately thought, what an honour and a pleasure that would be. Please, count me in. I want to be involved, especially starring alongside so many of my great showbiz pals, Robin and Tony, Matt, Stephen. You know, the Slapstick Festival has been a mainstay of Bristol's cultural and comedy life for some years now, and sadly this year they've been unable to raise funds through live events, and so they're appealing to you in this way and hoping very much that you'll find the generosity to donate and keep the festival going so that it can be back on course and back in a live arena next year. So if you can find the generosity in your heart and spirit, your mind, and your soul, and your brain to donate, please do. And on behalf of all of us here at Slapstick's Comedy Night In, Big Comedy Night In, thank you and namaste.
Thank you very much to Jack D. This is a rather wonderful thing. It reminds me a great deal of watching kind of This Is Your Life, where you'd have all those great moments where it would suddenly be, hello, Ian McShane here. Sorry, I'm currently on the set of Lovejoy, so I'm sorry I can't be with you for your special night, Sid Little. But anyway, well, I hope you're enjoying yourselves. I'm very pleased to say that we, the last time I looked, were £4 away from hitting £10,000, which is a fantastic amount. Thank you very much, everyone who has contributed. Obviously, if you're unable to contribute, that's not a problem. I hope you're enjoying the show. If you are able to contribute, however little it is, it really is tremendously useful to keep the whole Slapstick Festival going and to keep Chris Daniels in the manner to which he's become accustomed, which is frankly disgusting. But anyway, now we have a message from Bristol East MP, Kerry McCarthy.
I'm Kerry McCarthy, I'm the Labour MP for Bristol East. At my first Slapstick Festival, which I think was 10 years ago, the headline film was Life of Brian, which, believe it or not, was the first time I'd ever seen it. But since then, I've got to know the films of Charlie Chaplin, of Buster Keaton, who I think is a real comic genius, and of course got to listen to some of the debates and discussions with some of the top comedians that have taken part and supported Slapstick throughout the years. It's a really important festival for putting Bristol on the map. Obviously, like so many other events and institutions in the cultural sector, it's struggling because of COVID and the lockdown. So if you are able to donate today, please do dig into your pockets and make a small donation just to keep Slapstick on the road.
Thank you very much, Kerry. Now we're going to go straight on with someone who, Richard Herring and I, we like to imagine that we're young, despite the fact that, I mean, in particular me, I've not aged well at all, as some people may well know. What basically happened was I met Brian Cox and he sucks out my life force, so he continues to look absolutely wonderful and beautiful. Anyway, so we now have someone who is actually young. Not only are they young, but they have, I think I'm right in saying it's 8 million subscribers to their TikTok channel. It's Abby Clark, and Abby filmed various things for us, and here she is. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to your front room from, I think, the base of her stairs, Abby Clark.
Hi guys, it's Abby from Abby Clark Comedy, and thank you for watching Slapstick's Big Comedy Night In. The Slapstick Festival is in desperate need of funds due to COVID-19, meaning live events all across the country have been cancelled. So if you're in a position to do so, please donate and support. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Abby Clark Comedy. I've filmed a few sketches for you guys. I hope you enjoy. Hey, what are you looking at? Hey, do you want to go for a walk? Go on, say it, say it. I don't want to say it. Say it, just say it. I can handle it, say it. Walk. Oh my god, yes! I'm going to be like, yeah. And then I'm going to be like, pow. And then all the other dogs are going to be like, whoa. Oh my god, the other dog. Oh my god. Let me know when you're... Highlight of my life! Who changed my background to the beach? Go on, throw it. Don't take it from me. Take it, don't take it. I just want... Just throw it. I don't understand. Throw it. Don't take it. Throw it. Go on, throw it. No. Please don't take the ball from me, it means a lot to me. I worked very hard for it, please. Please throw it, go on, throw it, throw it. You guys just saw a ghost. There's a ghost in this house. It's a little Victorian girl. She told me my name was Peter. Why is no one listening to me? There is a ghost! Why does no one care? There's a ghost! I feel so alive! You just went in there. Oh, right, yeah. Yeah, I did, didn't I? Well, worth checking again. Sorry, I can't let you do that. Why not? You've reached your allotted time. No, I haven't. You told me not to let you in no matter what. Yeah, after 5 hours, not 5 minutes. It's been 5 hours. What? No, it hasn't. Hour at breakfast, hour at noon, 2 hours on the toilet. And an hour just now. I watched one video. You actually watched 102 versions of the same video and then watched someone clean out their pool. Fine, I'll just go on Instagram. Sorry, I can't let you do that. Seriously? Besides, literally nothing's happened since you checked it 5 minutes ago. Well, what am I supposed to do with myself now then? News app? Too depressing. Twitter? Too angry. Facebook? I'm not 80. You could put me down and go for a walk. Fine. I'll go on Facebook. But only to stalk who's pregnant from school.
There, wonderful Abby Clark. We're going to be seeing more sketches from her a little bit later on, and we also have something coming up very soon from Graham Garden. And as I mentioned also at the beginning, we have some clips from a few years ago in the festival with Neil Innes and also with Ken Dodd. Now, the next thing coming up, what we have coming up is someone who did a wonderful show. In fact, I think as far as I remember, it closed the festival this year on the Sunday night at the Bristol Old Vic, which was a kind of reenactment of I'm Sorry, I'll Read That Again. And that's Barnaby Eaton-Jones. And we also have, as promised right at the beginning, we have Stephen Fry and a joke. So here are Barnaby Eaton-Jones and then Stephen Fry with his joke.
So you're going to direct me through the earpiece because this has got to be done quickly. All right, okay, yeah. No, I don't think these glasses make me look like a twat. Hello, my name is Barnaby Eaton-Jones, but that's my problem. I'm the least famous person but what, hey? Don't say least famous, but I am the least famous. All right. Hello, I'm Barnaby Eaton-Jones. I'm the most famous person well, hey? Well, Stephen Fry, yeah, obviously. Oh, Jack D, right, okay. They've got Graham Garden. Oh, okay. Hello, my name is Barnaby Eaton-Jones, and I'm Barnaby Eaton-Jones. I'm going to tell you a joke and do you a little song, but first I'd like to tell you what Slapstick Festival means to me. Well, it's the word slapstick and festival squished together to make comedy. Now, comedy is the most important thing that we can have in these troubled times. But what? Aside from a vaccine? Well, obviously, aside from a vaccine. Hello, my name's... What? I know we've done that bit. Oh, you are going to edit this properly, aren't you? I mean, I don't want to look stupid, is the mate. No, that's just rude. I don't always look... I am going to leave the glasses on. So my joke for you is this. A bee walks into a record shop and a vinyl shop. Why would I say... Hipsters? No, this is just old people watching this. Okay. A bee walks into a record shop and buys a record because he wants to listen to... He wants to listen to the B side. The B side. No. He wants to listen to the B side. He can't listen to the A side because he's a bee. I know. Well, I know, but no, don't. I mean, you can edit out the laughter. Can't. What do you mean nobody be laughing? That's just rude. So I'd also like to sing you a little song. It's about Brexit, and it is topical, and it goes a little bit like this. Oh.
Hello, people of various descriptions. This is Stephen here. Now, I've been asked by my friends at Slapstick to tick off various requests on a list, and I'm pretty hopeless at this kind of thing. Well, the first thing to tell you about is the Slapstick Festival, if you don't already know about it. Maybe you're a friend of it. Maybe you've been to one or two of the events. I've had the good fortune of being present at a few, and it is one of the great celebrations of comedy that we have in this country. But of course, it's desperately under threat, as all live entertainment is, because of the COVID crisis. You hardly need me to tell you that, but you might need me to urge you to see if you can be generous and help support it so that there will, in 2021, be a Slapstick Festival. Wouldn't that be a great thing? Now, the name of the event, of course, is Slapstick's Big Night In, that is going to raise money for the future of the festival. Donate if you can. And yes, I've said that. Shut up, Stephen. Come on. Now, there are the other points. One. Okay, and a joke. Well, it's a sad reflection rather than a joke. Did you know that 6 out of 7 dwarves aren't happy?
Thank you very much to Stephen and Barnaby there. I'm just going to show you one of the lovely things by doing Slapstick Festival is I end up with things like this, which is my very old copy of The Making of the Goodies Disaster Movie, in which I waited 40 years before I could get it signed by all 3 goodies. And that includes Graham Garden. And Graham Garden, obviously includes Graham Garden. Graham Garden is one of the biggest supporters of the Slapstick Festival. Does a huge amount every single year. Hopefully some of you will have seen the great events that Graham has been part of, but behind the scenes as well, tremendously important. And what's great is that means that very often Graham will also pull in favours from some of his many showbiz friends, and that's one of the things that's happened here. This is we're basically now going to have a spot of satire, really, which hopefully is as relevant today as it was 50 years ago. In 1970, Cat Stevens, now Yusuf Islam, he brought out the classic album Tea for the Tillerman. And this year, Yusuf, together with the original producer, Paul Samwell Smith, has recorded a new version of the entire album and sent us this message. We send Slapstick the best wishes for a successful 2021 season, celebrating classic comedy. It's a pleasure to join your band of supporters, and it's fun. Thank you for asking us. And now from the new album, the new version of the album, here is the latest version of Where Do the Children Play, with animation by Chris Hopewell. Brilliant. That was wonderful. What a beautiful piece of animation work as well. We'll get straight on now. Oh, by the way, I should say, did I mention last time? The good news is that we've now gone over £10,000. So again, thank you very much to everyone who's watching, who's able to support us tonight. It makes a huge difference. It means that with luck, not only when we are able to, will Bristol Slapstick Festival come back, but it will also come back stronger and bigger and filled with as many and more beautiful and ridiculous, very, very silly things. Now we have 2 messages. We have from Destination Bristol, we have Catherine Davis, and we have from the Cary Grant Festival, Charlotte Crofts. Here they are.
Hello, my name's Charlotte Crofts and I run the Carrie Comes Home Festival. You can see the little I Heart Carrie postcard there in the background. And I was delighted to have been invited to contribute to tonight's Slapstick Big Comedy Night In. Slapstick comedy silent film play an important role in Cary Grant's trajectory. So when he was Archibald Leach growing up in Bristol, he remembers going to see silent comedy at his local cinema, and his little quote from his autobiography: "Each Saturday afternoon, surrounded by a shrieking turbulence of assorted children clutching small bags of sweets, apples and licorice strands, I queued up to attend the local cinema where the comedians Charles Chaplin, Ford Sterling, Roscoe Arbuckle, Max Swain and John Bunny with Flora Finch, together with Bronco Billy Anderson, the cowboy star, were our greatest favourites. Much pushing broke out, and many a toffee-covered fist waved in dispute over the relative talents of Ford Sterling, who headed the famous Keystone Cops, and Charlie Chaplin. The unrestrained wriggling and lung exercise of those Saturday matinees, free from parental supervision, was the high point of my week." And of course, Archie emigrated to America with the Pender Troupe of acrobats and worked his way up through vaudeville and Broadway to becoming Cary Grant. And he ended up marrying Charlie Chaplin's star in City Lights, Virginia Cherrill. He was directed by Leo McCary, who directed Duck Soup with Marx Brothers and some of the best Laurel and Hardy films. So he's deeply, deeply saturated in silent comedy, and he wouldn't be the star that he became if it wasn't for silent comedy. And I just want to end by quoting Pauline Kill, who talks about Cary Grant as a slapstick Prince Charming. And I think what she's getting at there is that although he's known as being completely suave and debonair and handsome and all of that stuff, he's also got an amazing sense of humour, ability with physical comedy and pratfalls that kind of makes him the rounded star that he is. So without silent comedy, we wouldn't have Cary Grant. So do support Slapstick, make sure you donate, spread the word, and just engage with everything that they're doing, because they're such an important festival in Bristol. Thanks.
Bristol's Slapstick Festival is not just one of the best events in Bristol in the calendar, it's one of the best events anywhere in the calendar. Slapstick Festival helped me rediscover my love of those slapstick comedies of Laurel and Hardy and Harold Lloyd that used to be on BBC Two at 6 o'clock when I was a kid at tea time. Please continue to support the festival. It needs you, and Bristol needs it.
Thank you both very much. I'm going to quickly mention something which is about some of the people who've been so much part of it. And one of the sad things, of course, is we celebrate, and we have some wonderful people who support. And in the last really kind of year, there's been some brilliant supporters, some incredible artists who have died. And I just quickly wanted to mention the great animator Richard Williams. I wanted to mention Terry Jones. I wanted to mention Neil Innes, who was as lovely as everyone when Neil Innes died. And I think many people were tremendously shocked by his death just after Christmas. Everyone who said he was lovely, he really was absolutely lovely, as was Terry Jones, who I remember meeting Terry Jones once, going around his house to interview him, and he was exactly how I would hope as he walked around his kitchen, just bum, 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 bum. It was a wonderful thing. And also, of course, one of my last memories of this year's Slapstick Festival was saying goodbye to Tim Brooke-Taylor and his wife as they drove off to Bradford, where Tim was going to be doing a Clue show up there, which of course did. And I just wanted to mention that as well, because as Graham Garden said about him, just a very simple, succinct way, he said he was a class act. And I think that's, so I just wanted to mention those. And I'm very briefly going to mention as well, when I started out in stand-up, there was a brilliant double act called Chris and George. They were very, very funny. And George Jeffrey went on to become a writer with Bert Tyler Moore, and they created things like Star Stories and The Windsors. And I was just going to mention George because George died just over a week ago. And I'm going to mention two of the jokes that Chris and George did, because they were two of my favourite jokes. When I started out as a young comedian, when I was in my early 20s, every time that I saw Chris and George were on, I was over the moon. I was like, oh, I'm going to have such a lovely time, and they're such charming and sweet people. At one point, George would turn to Chris, he would say, Chris, there's something I think we should tell the audience, and that is what is actually happening here tonight is illegal, because it is illegal to be responsible for a man's laughter. No, George, that's manslaughter. That was one of my favourite jokes. The other one was Chris and I are actually going to go up the up Everest the hard way. That's right, we're going to go up Everest the hard way. We're going to go up Everest without oxygen, and we don't just mean without oxygen tanks. We mean with plastic bags tied very, very tightly over our heads. So another comedian, not someone who's involved with slapstick, but a great writer as well, George Jeffrey, who died last week. And I just wanted to quickly mention that, and also tell two of the wonderful jokes that he wrote with Chris. We're now going to go to Britain's Got Talent. We mentioned before, of course, with Lee, the Lost Voice guy. Now we have someone else who did tremendously well on that. Here is Jess Robinson.
The voices in my head are my holistic medication. If I can't be me, I'll be someone else who can deal with the situation. And though it might sound strange, it's my coping mechanism. Sometimes my brain's so full, I think I need an exorcism. I get up in the morning, eyes are bleary, can't stop yawning, and I'm filled with regrets about watching 17 box sets. I'm feeling pretty shameful. Is that a Big Mac on my table? I've drained my coffee cup, I need a voice to perk me up. Whoa, then suddenly she comes to me, always full of energy. Ginger, Scottish, 5 foot tall, I hear her shout my wake-up call. She fills me with boom bang a bang when I've run out of steam. She helps me light my fire if I get the dosage right. Yeah, but I can't have Lulu after 5 or I won't sleep at night. Going through a lazy phase, haven't exercised for days. How can I feel more worthwhile now I can't watch Jeremy Kyle? On the sofa in a heap, even my Fitbit's half asleep, energetic as a flannel. Who can I channel? Whoa. Latin battle cry from a feisty woman whose hips don't lie. Men adore her, women fear her. My personal trainer is Shakira. Lule, 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 whatever, whenever. Shakira in my head stops me from procrastinating, even if her constant wiggling is often aggravating. The she-wolf in my spinning class who helps me win the race. Her breasts are small and humble so they don't whack me in the face. Oh, Stacey Solomon to giggle, Lorraine Kelly to be polite, Britney in the morning, Aguilera late at night, Cheryl for malaria, Hillary to be blunt, and I'll channel Katie Hopkins when I want to be a columnist. Alanis to get angsty, Catherine Jenkins to be classy, Jesse J. Gunning, straight Poulter to get arsey, Miley when I'm drinking, Alex Jones on a date, Kylie with my neighbours, and Jane Torville when I skate. I'll be honest, I don't use that one very often. Also, I don't really know what she sounds like. The only thing I mustn't do is muddle them in my head, or I'm Stormy Daniels down the market, and Sonia from EastEnders in bed. Whoa, 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 whoa. A doof, 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 doof. The voices in my head, they help me to adjust. Without my good old sisterhood, I'd certainly combust. They've helped me in the past when life has really sucked. Oh yeah, if I didn't have my voices, I'd be completely fucked. Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Thank you very much to Jess. Also, you may not be able to hear this, but you may, if you think there's a weird noise in the background. One of the things, again, that doesn't happen when you actually do shows in theatres is you don't have printers being used by members of your family that suddenly go off in the room. So that's it, if you're hearing weird background noise there. We're now just going to show you a series of moments from the Slapstick Festival, and also a message from someone who introduced one of the main features earlier this year, Paul McGann, who's been a great supporter of the festival. So here, a few moments of the Slapstick Festival and Mr. Paul McGann.
Hiya, this is Paul McGann with a request for help.
Our beloved Slapstick Festival in Bristol is in trouble. Because of COVID restrictions this year on live events, its revenues dropped by about 80%, which isn't just threatening next year's event, but maybe even beyond that, so it's serious. Now, I love this festival. I was patron years back when it was still called Bristol Silence. And we've watched it grow. It's become an international event. One of the highlights of the year, something that my adopted city of Bristol is rightly proud of. I'd hate to see anything happen to it. Anyway, friends and supporters are gathering for a one-off event, Slapstick's Big Comedy Night In, to try to help raise some much-needed funds. Support it, please. Please, donate if you can. And together, let's keep this beautiful festival afloat. Thank you.
There we are. So you hopefully got some kind of sense there, seeing that shot there of singing Charlie Chaplin's famous song "Smile." Just everyone around there, and there's always every year at the festival tremendous sense of kind of community. All of the incredible volunteers who give up so much time. Everyone who gets involved. And you always find yourself ending up in a bar, talking to someone who's got some intriguing story to tell you, or indeed, if you're very lucky, you end up talking to David Robinson, who is there pretty much every year. A great film critic and someone who wrote also the quite brilliant biography of Charlie Chaplin. Someone else who, on the day that the inauguration of Donald Trump, we wondered what we should do. And so what was done at what was formerly the Colston Hall, Bristol Beacon, was, amongst other things, as well as songs from Neil Innes, from my friend Grace Petrie, and various others, we showed Charlie Chaplin's The Great Dictator. And I remember talking to the next person I want to introduce, who still looked in shock about the whole scenario of what was going on in the world. And you would imagine that someone who's a keen satirist, one of the things is that they're not just happy going, oh great, an idiot's in power, that's fantastic, there'll be loads of great satire. He really does care as well, but a quite brilliant impressionist. And here is Rory Bremner.
Just talk us through the Slapstick Festival, because 6,000 tickets sold for the festival. It's proving hugely popular, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. That's for not only people who are sort of silent movie buffs, but people who've never experienced a silent movie before, let alone with a live orchestra, to come along and see what it's like. I'm looking forward to seeing Roy Hudd, I must say, as well, because he's a great aficionado of the old music hall and of the cinema as well. So I think it's just a very unique thing, and it's at this time of the year in Bristol every year.
Hi everyone, this is Rory Bremner. Thank you for joining us on Slapstick's Big Comedy Night In. The Big Comedy Night In, tremendous night, wonderful night, a lot of great people coming along, and big night for Slapstick, big night for Bristol. I understand that's the hometown of Slapstick. I know Bristol very well. It was built by a friend of mine, and also I knew a lot of people there. John Cabot, wonderful guy. I believe he was Venetian, so he may be blind, I don't know, but wonderful guy, and I believe he had a circus. He ran a circus there, and I visited him many times. Then the circus left town, and Alexander Colston, also a great friend of mine, and knew him very, very well. And I know they have a festival every year where they parade his statue around town, and maybe they'll do that for me one day, so that would be great. But also, Slapstick. I love Slapstick. Of course, I knew all the guys, all the great slapstick artists. Buster Keaton, I knew him, and I knew Charlie Chaplin, and Laurel and Hardy, Stan Laurel and Tom Hardy, and I knew them very well, all these great stars. And we were great friends. They didn't say a lot. They were pretty silent, those guys. They were the silent type. And but I know they really enjoyed my company, and a lot of my companies, in fact, and I taught them a lot, taught them everything they knew. So big fan of Slapstick and a big fan of Bristol. So thank you for all of that. And I got a great friend of mine, Boris, is going to have a few words. Oh, yes, Slapstick, yes. And I love Slapstick, and how right you were, Donald, in bigging up the great stars of Slapstick. So many of them British, of course. And indeed, I'm a great fan myself of Slapstick. And indeed, who can watch those old films of cars coming apart and ladders falling over and paint being spilt everywhere without thinking of my own government? My world-beating government, I have to say, and we are definitely beating the world in every respect. People say that we are asleep on the job, but let me assure you, I may indeed be on the job, but I'm not asleep. Indeed, we have not been absent. We have been all over the place as a government. We have been all over the place, whether it be on testing or care homes or PPE or exams or schools. We have been literally all over the place. So we have been working hard, and I, of course, am a new father. I'm now a father of God, how many is it? 6, 7, I think it's 6. I think it's 6. I have a personal R of 6, which means for every one of me, I am capable of replicating a further 6, although it may be more. And indeed, we are getting a track and trace system. So if you think that you may have come into contact with me in the last 20 years or so, and may have a child, then indeed get onto our track and trace system. So interesting times, everybody. I haven't seen Jacob Rees-Mogg recently on those government briefings. I think that's probably because I look too much like an undertaker. But I love Bristol and I love Slapstick. I'm a great comedy fan. I loved Gilbert and Sullivan. I knew them, and Gilbert and Sullivan, and they, of course, they wrote a wonderful little song which I'm going to adapt for you now to tell you about all the countries in Europe that I can't stand. Here we go. There's Portugal and Italy and Poland and Romania, the Netherlands and Germany and France and Lithuania, Sweden, Spain and Hungary and Finland and Estonia, Slovenia, Slovakia and maybe Macedonia. There's Malta, Belgium, Greece, the Czech Republic and Croatia, and Luxembourg and Cyprus, which is practically in Asia, and Austria and Latvia and Denmark and Bulgaria, and Ireland, and if Turkey joins, the whole thing gets much scarier. But once we're out of Europe, we'll no longer be inferior. We'll soon be doing trade deals with Burundi and Liberia. They want to stop us leaving, which is perfectly absurd of them. It's what the British public voted for, at least a third of them. Thank you very much indeed. So, folks, you got a great night. I know Robin is doing a wonderful job, fantastic job, tremendous gentleman, Robin Ince. But can I just urge you to support this wonderful festival, Slapstick's big festival. You can go on slapstick.org.uk, I think, and donate there. It's a wonderful festival, a big part of life in Bristol, and celebrating some of the great comedians of the past, and indeed recent comedians. We've had some wonderful festivals, and I remember last time I think I did a show with John Cleese, and the wonderful thing is that people come and they talk about comedy and they see wonderful films and they have wonderful shows. So I think that's a good thing. Let's keep that going. So keep that going, support Slapstick, and hopefully we'll see you next year. Thanks everyone. Bye.
Thank you very much, Rory Bremner. My mum sold him a dog once. That's entirely true. It's not a boast. It's just true. And also, he reminded me there when just talking about that, I think it was the 2017 festival, some people that I didn't mention, including Roy Hudd, who, of course, recently died. And Roy Hudd did a fantastic show when he came to Slapstick, and he explained how Max Miller had learned a way of never having to not merely buy his own drinks, but drinks of anyone that he was with. So I don't know if there's a recording of that still from the Slapstick Festival. If you want to find out how to get a free drink in the style of Max Miller, you can find that from Roy Hudd. And a couple of other people I just thought of, also June Whitfield, a tremendous supporter and an incredible career across British comedy, and also, of course, Nicholas Parsons, who I can only ever always think of as Nicholas Bloody Parsons. Nicholas Bloody Parsons. I don't think we've ever shown Mr. Jolly Lives Next Door at the Slapstick Festival. That would be a real treat to do. But about 3 years ago, we did show Bad News. The comic strip presents Bad News, and with Nigel Planer and Adrian Edmondson, which was really lovely because I watched them watching it, and I don't think they'd seen it for years. It's nearly 40 years old now, and when the audience laughed, you could just see them going, "Oh, thank heavens, it still works, it's still funny." And it was also, I think, the largest number of Motorhead t-shirts that have ever been in the Bristol Old Vic. I'm prepared to be challenged on that, but I reckon that probably is the largest number of Motorhead t-shirts in Bristol Old Vic at any one time. We now have now this is someone who makes the festival so much, Gunter Buchwald, who is the German Silent Movie Orchestra, who just every year. Incredible. If you've not seen it, when we do come back, you must come and see it. Even if you're not, oh, I don't really know if I'd like silent films. One, you'll find out how much everything changes when you see them on the big screen. Two, you'll find out how much it changes when you have live accompaniments. So we're going to see a little message from Gunter, and we're also going to see a message from the other great musicians who are at the Slapstick Festival Bristol Ensemble. And as you see these messages from them, you can work out how exactly for live performers and in particular musicians, how lockdown may well have affected their mental health, really. Let's have a look. Let's start with Gunter.
Hello everybody, I'm Gunter. That's my friend. Yes, it's about supporting the annual Slapstick. They can't hear me? Oh. Yeah, okay. I give you my account for support the festival. Oliver Swift, I don't know, IBAN. Anyway, it's Germany is 60. Okay. You know. I mean for the Slapstick Silent Festival. And okay, you can give any money, any coin, and you have to ask Christiane, the director, for any paper where you can sign and support the festival. And then I can come next year. Next year, yes.
Hello, my name's Roger Huckle and I'm director of the Bristol Ensemble, and we want to support Slapstick Festival and their big comedy night. We often play the music for the wonderful silent movies, and we really want to get back on stage as soon as possible. So please dig deep and support this wonderful organisation. Enjoy this next little clip. Bye.
Don't think just because you've seen some credits, we're going to let you go yet. No, there's more to come. And we have something from Graham Garden coming up very, very soon. We have something from Tim Vine. We have Matt Lucas. We have Harry Hill. And we're going to end with Stephen Merchant as well. So let's get straight on now with, we saw a little bit earlier on, as I said, 8 million followers on TikTok. Here is Abby Clark.
Wasn't me. No. Let's go. No. You weren't even using it. Muppet. Oh my god. What? You want a drink? Ew, no. Hey, friend. Oh, I've got an itch. Oh, I can't reach it. Can you just? Oh, yeah. Oh, that's the spot. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm uncomfortable. Oh! Sing it!
Thank you very much for all of those, Abby. And as I said before, we've got Tim Vine coming up. We have Harry Hill coming up, and we've got Stephen Merchant and a few others. We're getting there towards the end. But first of all, someone who was tremendously helpful this year at the festival. There was backstage with the shows that did with Stephen Merchant and also with Graham, Bill, and Tim. And he himself, a young man who is also a sketch comedian. And like everyone else, of course, we have nowhere where we can go off and go do our sketches. So here he is with his team. Here is the person who was so helpful to us earlier in the year at the festival, Harry Allmark.
Hello, mate. You alright?
Heyo! Hi guys, Happy New Year!
A little early, isn't it? Still a few minutes to midnight.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just so pumped about this year, you know?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Do you guys have any resolutions or anything?
Yeah, I'm just looking forward to getting out the house more, you know? Going to the cinema, spending more time in pubs, clubs, bars, cafes, restaurants and other public social spaces. What about you?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to going travelling with my girlfriend, actually. She lives in a different household to me, but yeah, that's fine. And we're actually going to China for a little bit, and then we're going to spend some time in Japan, and then South Korea, and then eventually a European road trip. We're ending up in Italy. So excited.
Oh, amazing!
What about you, Lois?
I just really am looking forward to spending more time with my elderly asthmatic grandma. Yeah, I just love being within a 2-metre radius of her. It's her birthday in April. Yeah, I can't wait to give her a big old cuddle.
Oh, sweet. Did you get her anything nice?
Yeah, she's got this weird obsession with flying mammals. So we're getting her a bat flown in from abroad.
Ooh. You know what I'm looking forward to the most, though, is filming our final film project. You know, Outside and All Together, a comedy sketch show.
I can't wait to get our hands on those proper uni cameras.
Finally, we can make a good-looking film with no continuity errors.
Yes.
You know how much I hate continuity errors.
Yes, I do.
Continuity errors just make me so angry.
Look, Harry, would you stop worrying, okay? It's all gonna be fine.
Plus, we finally get to use some proper mics and sound equipment.
Yes, so we can achieve that perfect, infallible sound design.
You know what, guys? I've got a pretty good feeling about this year. I think that everything is gonna be just fine.
Thank you very much to Harry and his team, and now someone I mentioned a little bit earlier on, and someone who I should mention, by the way, some of the shows that are up and available online, some of the shows not merely from this year but also from last year, but the conversation with the goodies where we actually did the countdown of voted for by the public of their favourite episode, and I can say that very pleasingly the episode that was voted the public's favourite wasn't really anywhere near the favourite of either Bill, Tim or Graham, and then they had the joy of having to sit through the whole of that episode as well. So that was great fun, actually. And also the conversation that I had with Steve Merchant about Laurel and Hardy, that is up online with a load of other stuff. So I think you can find that on the Slapstick site and on the Cosmic Shambles site as well. And now the man that I have been mentioning, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Graham Garden.
Hi, Graham Garden here, broadcasting responsibly. But I felt I had to do my bit to help my favourite event, the Bristol Slapstick Festival, to survive during these strange days. So I thought I'd give the old vocal cords some exercise and treat you to my range of impressions. I've been working on them for a while, and this just seemed to be the right time to try them out. So, will you welcome to the stage none other than a well-known president?
They say I'm the most popular president in the history of the Republican Party. You see the same polls as I do. A number that is hard to believe considering I never get fair press or good press. How do I have these numbers and I get bad press?
And who better to follow a well-known president than a well-known prime minister?
What people listen to are short Anglo-Saxon words that readily correspond to some object in the universe that they can identify. So, in other words, talk simply, use plain English.
Yes, keep it simple was the message there, I think. Now, we all love the movies, and stars don't come much bigger than my next guest.
I have an idea. Certainly I'm not boxing, unless I'm fighting arthritis. But then again, you have to think about, is the pleasure worth the pain? In other words, it takes so long to develop those films. It takes 6 months of just working on the choreography.
Yes, the unmistakable tones of him. Well, at least he wasn't talking about his sex life, unlike that scamp Graham Norton.
Well, it's fun. I think one of the things about doing it once a week is I still enjoy it. You know, I think if it's that grind of doing it 5 nights a week, it doesn't matter who you go. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome. You're just like, ugh.
But no lineup of the great and the good would be complete without the inimitable Nelson Mandela.
Many a politician escapes censure by using words they feel confident the public won't understand. There was a senator from Wisconsin called Alexander Wiley who served in the Senate. He once described someone as young, vigorous, and full of spitzerinctum. I have no idea who he was talking about, but I would guess nobody cared once he had uttered the word spitzerinctum.
Time for a big finish, so eat your heart out, Rob Brydon. We're having a rousing chorus of Delilah, and guess who's singing it?
A long time ago in Bethlehem, so the Holy Bible says.
Thank you, Tom. And this is the real me. Thank you for supporting the Slapstick Festival, and I hope to see you all there before too long. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you very much, Graham Garden. As I said, Graham, who does so much for the Slapstick Festival and, of course, does so much for all of us who love great radio as well. Now we have, as I said, we've got Matt Lucas, Harry Hill, Tim Vine, Stephen Merchant, all coming up. And we also have a bit of archive as well from Ken Dodd. It's best that it is archived now. And this is also a message from the local media, of course, have always been tremendously supportive, apart from sometimes reviews about the... I've got to have to forget about the review for that that particular benefit that we did. Anyway, this is a message from BBC Points West reporter Alex Lovell.
Hey, Slapstick
Slapstick Festival lovers, it's nice to see you. I hope you're having a brilliant night. Yes, it's one of those little moments when the not so funny people jump in and say, hey, please keep supporting this, but it's really important. So I'm Alex from BBC Points West. I joined about 15 years ago, and that was when the Slapstick Festival first started. So I was really chuffed because I got to be sent out to help kind of promote it and do a story about it and so on. I remember I tried to do my own version of Slapstick, as you do, and I had a long ladder, made it black and white and sped it all up, you know, classic stuff, but we live and learn. I haven't done that since. It was quite a giggle. And it's also afforded some of the most amazing interviews that I've had the opportunity to do as well, because I've been able to interview some incredible people and some of my favourite artists as well. Matt Lucas came in and was more charming than you can ever imagine, just delightful. And then my all-time favourite ever interview was Barry Humphries. I still think about it to this day. I was so nervous because we've all seen him annihilate people, haven't we, when he just takes them to shreds. And so I just went up to him. I thought, I'm going to be honest. Not very professional, really. I said, I'm really nervous about interviewing you. And he just took me by the shoulders and he went, he said, why is that? And I said, because you just tear people to bits. And he went, but I like you. And I thought, yeah, I'm going to survive this. And he was an absolute dream. So if you're enjoying the laughs tonight, please spread the love and help them to keep this going, because it reaches so many people. We need laughs right now more than ever before. God knows we all know that. So, you know, support it if you can. Have a brilliant evening and may the comedy continue. See you later, everyone.
Thank you very much, Alex. And she mentioned someone there who we're going to see now, who most recently I did the show I do on radio for the Infinite Monkey Cage. We did a show all about black holes, which are tremendous in terms of counter-instinctual objects in the universe. Black holes are filled with, well, I mean, filled is immediately the wrong word. But there was so much that we dealt with about the kind of the nature of time, about the nature of the possibility of us being two-dimensional holograms, about information, about Hawking radiation, and we had two scientists and we had Matt there, and at one point Matt just listened to all this information about it being a hologrammatic universe and he just went, it feels like I've just suddenly instantaneously been given dementia. I have no idea what's going on. I'm entirely lost. So here we have Matt Lucas and Harry Hill.
Hello, it's TV's Matt Lucas here. You remember me from when you were little. I am supporting the Slapstick Festival. And you, oh! Dropped my phone there in a hilarious moment of slapstick.
Oh, hi everyone, it's Harry Hill here with the special appeal for the Bristol Slapstick Festival. Yeah, with the pandemic, my hair grew back. So that's nice. Nice to be here actually doing a gig. I mean, I haven't done a proper gig for so long. You know, I've been doing quite a lot of gigs on my phone, so I've got quite good at that. And I've even done a few of these driving gigs. You know, where you yeah, all right, thank you. Yes, this one that's followed me home. Yeah, all right, you got your money back, didn't you? Apologies for that. And of course, like everyone else, I've been marvelling at nature, the way it's recovered. In fact, in this garden here, we've got a very rare colony of bats have moved back in. Let's see if we listen, you never know, we might be able to hear them. Can you just hear? No, well, they tend to prefer to come out at night. It's got my face! It's got my face! Listen, now I've done a lot of appeals as well. Yeah, a lot of appeals, doing 3 or 4 a day now, but even I couldn't save Debenhams. But of course the purpose of this is an appeal on behalf of the Bristol Slapstick Festival, who have been struggling. They struggle every year, to be honest. I mean, guys, take a hint, but particularly with the pandemic. So I would just like to say, please, give some money to the Bristol Slapstick Festival. Whatever you can spare, please, I beg you. Peace. Whatever you can spend.
Thank you very much, Harry and Matt. And now the next person is someone else who's been tremendously supportive of the. So I'm going to try and move my head so I haven't got this. I realise I've got a light directly behind me. It's kind of I'm going through Messiah phase. There we go. That's good. Someone who also did one of the greatest things at the Edinburgh Festival ever. It's Tim Vine is the person we're going to go and see. And there was a huge billboard at the bottom of one of the streets during the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, and it had a vast. I mean, it must have been a very expensive billboard. A huge image of Tim Vine just smiling like that, and it just said, "Tim Vine is not appearing at the festival this year," which was probably one of the greatest uses of the Fringe Festival without even actually turning up. So here he is, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to your bedrooms, your front rooms, wherever you are, Tim Vine.
Every time I want to film something, the flipping crows kick off. Right. Hello, Tim Vine here, talking to you all at the Slapstick Comedy Festival. You know, I always think slapstick gets the better of comedians, but it's not going to get the better of me. Today, I cock a snook at Slapstick. Oh, what's that down there? You're ruining it. It's a, looks a banana skin. Huh? Mind your thumb. Oh, a glass of water. Oh, is it going to go in my face? Oh, is it going to go in my face? Is it? No. The other hand. Other hand. And the extra. Didn't want to get my trousers wet. Goodbye, everyone. Cue crows. Oh yeah, now it doesn't happen, does it?
Thank you very much to Tim Vine. We're nearly at the end now. We have Steve Merchant coming up. I would just like to thank, first of all, Doug, who has been in charge of playing in all the clips and doing all of that stuff. Thank you very much, Doug, because you have been... I was expecting to have a lot more of those long kind of moments, but we haven't had to have those, so that's very good. Thank you also very much. Well, again, I want to mention all the people who volunteer every year, all the people who give their time, all the people, the audiences who are always absolutely fantastic, everyone who's been watching this and who's been able to, if you've been able to contribute as well, that's also absolutely fantastic. I'm not sure what we've got up to, but I think we were somewhere around about £10,100, which is absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much to Jackie and also to Chris, of course, who runs the whole festival, and thank you very much to his family as well, who have to put up with the fact that Chris runs the whole festival and put in a great deal of work themselves. So now we're going to. This was the first year that I did the Bristol Slapstick Festival. Unfortunately, I did the first half of the show at the Colston Hall, and then there was a family health emergency, and I had to leave and go back to London. It was a very kind of strange evening, and so one of the sad things about that, apart from the tremendous pressure of obviously a family health emergency, was also missing seeing Bernie Clifton, seeing Charlie Chaplin smile. Bernie Clifton is still one of the funniest and most delightful human beings, and if again one of those people, if you ever got the chance to go and see Bernie live, I don't know how much he's doing now, but he's still absolutely brilliant. But someone who stepped in on that evening when I had to leave a show halfway through, and I've known for over 20 years now, always brilliant. The funniest, I would say, probably the funniest stand-up comedian that I've ever worked with. Certainly in the top 5, and he's absolutely brilliant. And here he is, Stephen Merchant.
Hi, you're looking at me and you're thinking, what has slapstick got to do with Jurgen Klopp? Well, let me tell you, it's not Jurgen, it's me, Stephen Merchant, Bristol lad, through and through. How's it going? Hope you and your loved ones are doing okay, staying healthy. Hope you're maintaining your social distancing. That's important. I'll tell you who I feel sorry for with all this social distancing. The pickpockets. How are they coping? That's quite tricky to do from 2 meters away. Let's hope they're doing okay. They've all got families to feed. So why am I here on Slapstick's big comedy night in? Well, every year I go to the Slapstick Comedy Festival with my dad, Ron. We always have a great time, and it's a real bonding experience for us because slapstick, in a way, was introduced to me by my dad when I was young. When my sister and I were kids, my dad was always looking for ways to entertain us that didn't cost a lot of money. I wouldn't say my dad was careful with money. What's the word I would use? I would use stingy, skinflint, cheapskate, penny pinching, mean, miserly. Miserly is the word I would use for my dad. For instance, I remember when we were kids, my sister said to him, why is it that all the other kids get £1 from the tooth fairy, but I only get 10p? And I remember my dad looked at my mum and said, well, because all the other tooth fairies have wives that work. So that's the kind of guy you're dealing with. And he was always looking for cost-effective ways to entertain us, particularly in the summer holidays. Instead of spending money taking us to, bowling or the ice rink or the cinema or to buy us shoes, he was looking for cheap ways to entertain us. And BBC Two was his answer. In those days they would always show lots of old movies, and particularly a lot of old black and white slapstick. Charlie Chaplin, Harold Lloyd, Buster Keaton, and my favourites, Laurel and Hardy. So that was really the thing which kind of was very formative to me in the summer holidays growing up. We never really went outdoors, we didn't climb trees, we just stayed in and watched slapstick, which is why the Slapstick Festival in Bristol is so important to me, because I go every year. It takes me back to those days. I always go with Ron, he always comes with me, my dad. And so I'm obviously very worried, like a lot of people, that because of the situation we're in, the Slapstick Festival is struggling a little to stay afloat with the money that it needs to organise the festival. And so I know that everybody is struggling at the moment, but if it is at all possible for you to put your hand in your pocket, or someone else's if you're a pickpocket, and offer a little contribution to the Slapstick Festival, I know I would be very happy. I know my dad would be very pleased. I mean, this is how serious it's getting. Even my dad is considering donating. So, we're in some pretty serious waters here. So if you can help, then I would very much appreciate it. And thank you. I love you. God bless. Good night. Or good day, depending on what time this is on or that you're watching it.
Thank you very much to Steve Merchant. As I said as well, the conversation we had about Laurel and Hardy is available online, I think, on the Slapstick site and also on the Cosmic Shambles site. We're just about to find out what the total is for this evening, and there was something I thought I'd end on this, which is I mentioned earlier Neil Ince, who of course was a wonderful supporter of Slapstick Festival. Absolutely brilliant musician and artist and Dadaist and Ruttle and Bonzo Dog Doodah Band and all those things. And as I mentioned as well, one of the things that I think is I've been very fortunate in being involved with the Slapstick Festival is I've got to meet a lot of people who, when I was a kid, they helped form so many of the kind of my tastes and my interests and not just in comedy, in so many different things. If you were into someone like Neil Ince, when you're into kind of Python, when you're into the comic strip Presents, Laurel and Hardy, they kind of lead to lots of other things as well. And so when Neil died, I ended up writing. I write poetry very rarely, and you'll probably see why when I read this. But when he died, there was something I wrote just about the fact that I'd been fortunate in the fact that I'd been able to meet people and say, I love your work, and it's been very, very important to me. And of course, also we mentioned that from this year's festival as well, the loss of Tim Britt Taylor, I know has been was tremendously a heartbreaking moment for anyone who was at the festival this year will know just the amount of energy that Tim had, and still the vibrancy. It was wonderful. So this is just a little poem that I wrote about the fact that I've been lucky, I suppose, in the chance to say to people, thank you very much. Let me celebrate you now as you stand before me while you can still hear the cheer. Don't let me wait till you're gone to be fond. Don't let fear of embarrassment stifle my delight. How worry of impending shame leads us to talk about love only when there can be no response. Derision is easily dispensed, brickbat easier to receive, an acknowledgement of what our self-loathing probably knew already. We fumble and blush when praised or when praising, waiting to be caught out and rejected. I loved her book. I loved his art. I loved their mind. Past tense. It's hard not to fear the present, hard to be present, hard not to bend under a cynic stare. Keep the volume of things unsaid, the regrets of silence, as thin as it can be. Let it take as little space on the shelf in your head. No need to be ashamed of joy, the giving or receiving of it. Avoid the uselessness of regret. Worry you've been overwhelming with your adoration rather than fear you've crushed with the negative. And all of that, so often I said, as I saw you across the bar, and I thought, well, maybe next time. Thank you very much, everyone who's watched, everyone who's been part of this. Thank you again to everyone that, well, I've mentioned already the Slapstick Festival. I hope we're back soon in the form of theatrical shows with plenty of new things as well. Thank you very much for your time. Have a wonderful week. Thanks to everyone at the Slapstick Festival. Bye-bye.